All right, welcome. All around us, there are these invisible systems working silently to keep our world safe and running. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of these unsung heroes, a truly crucial piece of engineering that literally prevents catastrophes in our power grid.
So, we see these giant transformers everywhere, right? But have you ever stopped to wonder what keeps them from, becoming a massive exploding liability? The answer, and this is pretty cool, is a surprisingly simple, purely mechanical device.
But before we meet our little guardian, we really need to understand the beast it's designed to protect. We have to appreciate the immense energy and the very real danger lurking inside every single one of these large power transformers.
So, here's the critical point. The very oil that's supposed to keep a transformer cool and insulated, that can actually become its biggest threat. See, when something goes wrong inside, an electrical fault, maybe some serious overheating, that oil starts to break down. And it produces these flammable, explosive gases. The transformer essentially starts building its own bomb from the inside out.
Okay, so how in the world do you stop that from happening? Well, you install a watchdog, a silent guardian designed specifically to detect the very first signs of trouble. So let's meet it. It's called the Buchholz relay. I know, the name's a bit of a mouthful, but its purpose is just brilliantly simple. It's a safety device that works by detecting the gas and the oil disturbances that are created by those internal faults. Think of it as the transformer's personal smoke detector and its emergency brake, all rolled into one. And where this thing lives is just ingenious. It's installed in the connecting pipe that runs between the main transformer tank and a smaller tank up top, called the conservator. This placement is absolutely critical. Why? Because any gas that gets generated has to rise up through this pipe, and any sudden surge of oil has to rush through it. It is the perfect choke point to monitor the transformer's health. So how does it actually do its job? Well, you can think of the Buchholz relay as kind of listening for trouble. And it doesn't use any complex electronics, which is the beauty of it. It just relies on basic physics to sense when something is going wrong inside that big, sealed metal tank. The core concept here is just so elegant. Faults produce gas, gas rises, the relay is sitting right there, perfectly positioned to catch it. It's a direct cause and effect relationship, which is exactly what you want in a safety device. No ambiguity, no second guessing. But, not all faults are created equal. You might have a slow developing issue, like a bad connection that's overheating. That's going to create gas slowly over time. Or you could have a catastrophic short circuit that creates a violent surge of oil almost instantly. The relay is so cleverly designed to tell the difference between these two scenarios and, get this, react differently to each one. And that brings us to the real heart of its design, this two-stage response system. I love to think of it as the difference between a whisper of warning and a shout of alarm. Let's break down how this works. First up, let's look at the whisper. This is for those slow burn, minor faults, the kind you want to know about so you can go investigate before they turn into a major problem. So as those little gas bubbles rise, they get trapped at the very top of the relay. And as more gas collects, it starts pushing the oil level down inside the device. This causes an upper float to tilt downwards, which then closes a switch and voila, an alarm sounds in the control room. Now, it doesn't shut the transformer down. It just tells an operator, hey, you need to come take a look, something's not quite right in here. Okay, but what about a major fault, like a dead short circuit? There is no time for a gentle warning. You need immediate, decisive action. And this is the shout. A severe fault doesn't just make gas, it creates this powerful wave of oil that surges up towards that conservator tank. This wave slams into a baffle plate that's connected to a lower float, pushing it clean out of the way. That movement activates a totally separate trip circuit, which immediately, and I mean instantly, disconnects the transformer from the power grid. No human intervention needed. It's an automatic, life-saving shutdown. Now, you can imagine a simple mechanical device with such a critical job has to be absolutely foolproof. So how do we know we can trust it? Well, it all comes down to incredibly rigorous engineering and standardized testing. See, these relays aren't just built to some company's internal specs. No way. They have to conform to these super strict international standards, things like IEC and EN standards. This makes sure that a Buchholz relay made anywhere in the world meets the exact same high bar for safety and for performance. And the testing, it is intense. I mean, take the dielectric strength test. They literally zap the relay's circuitry with 2,000 volts for a full minute, just to be absolutely certain its insulation is perfect and won't fail when it's needed most. And believe me, it doesn't stop there. They're pressure tested for hours to make sure they're perfectly sealed. The trip mechanism is precisely calibrated to trigger at very specific oil speeds. They're built to resist vibrations, so, a passing truck doesn't cause a false alarm. And they even have a little test button, so technicians can regularly check that everything is working perfectly. So let's just bring it all together, shall we? The Buchholz relay is, essentially, the transformer's indispensable fire alarm. It uses the physical evidence of faults, rising gas and surging oil, to protect this incredibly expensive equipment. It's got that brilliant two-stage whisper and shout system for both minor and major problems. And most importantly, it's a simple, unbelievably reliable mechanical device proven by decades of use and those tough global standards. And this kind of brings us to a final thought. The Buchholz relay is just one example of a hidden safety mechanism we rely on every single day, probably without ever knowing it's there. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other invisible guardians are out there, quietly protecting our modern world?